Oh, he's here.
Okay.
Okay, we're good.
Half a day.
Half a day.
Half a day, sir.
Half a day.
All right, the Public Defender Service Corporation Board of Trustees regular meeting for May 27th will be called to order. Will the Administrative Director please call roll?
Thank you, Your Honor. We'll start with Chairman, yourself, Chief Justice Torres,
Half a day, I'm appearing virtually, yes.
and Vice Chairman, Presiding Judge Alberto Lamarena.
Half a day. I'm appearing virtually as well.
Thank you. Member Attorney Jackie Terlahi. I think she's supposed to be here today, but
She's not here right now.
okay. And next we have Member Donna Munya Kanata.
I'm here, appearing from Honolulu. Aloha, everybody.
Aloha.
Aloha. Half a day.
And next we have Member Dr. Christiana Whip.
Present virtually also.
We do have 4 of the 5 members being present. And the first item on the agenda is and notice was given, is the approval of the minutes from April 21st regular meeting and the April 29th continued regular meeting. Can I entertain a motion to approve the minutes subject to any corrections?
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
All right, it's moved by presiding judge. Is there a second?
It's second.
Second by
Second.
trustee Kanata. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
There
Aye.
being no objection, those meeting minutes are passed. Under old business, the financial status updates, Mike?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Your Honor. PDSC and APD.
Can you speak louder, Mike, or get closer to a mic? Because it's,
When I get closer.
I know you're kind of soft-spoken, but
Can you hear me now?
a little bit better.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. PDSC and APD are both operating at 97%. And for EJC, the PDSC has issued invoices from October 2024 to April 2025 to DPHSS, and as of today, has received all of the reimbursements up to April 2025. ICJR and stuff. For ICJR, in April, a release of claim was submitted to the governor's office. A total of $1,994.41 was not used by the expiration of the grant and will be refunded. For stop 22, the balance for this grant remains at $13,328, which is scheduled to expire on June 30th, 2025. For WestCare, PDSC has received payments for March and April 2025, and their account with us is up to date as of today. And that's all for all the financials.
All right, thank you. Any questions about the financial status? It sounds good. As long as we continue with that kind of numbers, we'll be pretty good. All right, the next item on the agenda is the report from the PDSC Executive Director.
All right. Thank you, Chief Justice. So we did provide our stats. The first one is really for our release, pre-trial criminal case status, and if they're released by bail all the way through third-party custodian. So the 11 is kind of low. I think we must have more than 11 people. I don't know. But I think this is just year to date from January through May.
All right. Is there anything else that you want to report on besides the case reports?
So currently we have 2,128 pre-judgment cases and about 3,393 post-judgment. And so it seems like we're bringing the pre-judgment caseload for each of the attorneys is getting more and more manageable. So if you can see, we even picked up fewer cases in April than we did prior years, 88. It's like the lowest since 2021. So hopefully that trend will continue. The only other things we have to report are, the bill, the status of that bill. I think it still needs a markup hearing. But we did submit all the proposed changes, so I think it's really just waiting to get reported out of committee.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's under new business, under 9738. And we can come back and revisit that when we get down to the new business, I guess, on the update on that.
Okay, great. And the only other thing I want to add is, we have the agenda. We're very close to finalizing it. This is for our 3-day conference in July for our Jubilee. I think with that Friday, July 11th, day of, recognition for our office, as well as we're gonna have our ethics CLE will be the last session of the entire training. And so we're gonna send this out to the private attorney panel members, as well as, the PDSC, APD, and the Civil Law Center as well. So we anticipate a really good a conference again.
And that's on July 11th, right?
That's correct, July 9, 10, and 11.
Right.
We're also hoping that the Chief Justice will be able to be like a keynote speaker on the 11th.
I told my office I got the invitation to be a keynote speaker, to be on a panel, and then a potential swearing in, I think. And I agreed I'll be there, and I'm happy to do all of that and to participate in that.
Okay, great. We
Yeah.
really appreciate that.
The one thing that when we get to 9738, we can talk about that as well, whether it may not dovetail with the swearing in of the new trustees, but but we'll see what happens, because of the fact that the bill will probably be on the July session, and that is likely not going to happen at the beginning of the month. But we'll talk about it when we get to the new there. Maybe instead of a swearing in of the new board members, you can have a sayonara to the old board members.
Yeah,
But who knows? Maybe some of the old might still be in with the new. You never know.
that's great. All right, I don't have anything else to add.
All right. Managing attorney for APD, your report.
Yes, Your Honor, we were able to submit it. JT had it. There we go. So these are cases up to April 1st, 2025. It's kind of small if you can't see it, but so far we have 671 pretrial cases split up between the 6 lawyers. And we also show the EMP numbers on the bottom right. Nothing much more to report than that, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any questions for the managing attorney? If not, report from the CLC managing attorney.
Our stats are also submitted, Your Honor. Basically, we've seen an increase in protective order cases lately, and it might be because I know Guam Legal Services was having funding issues, but that might have been cleared through another source. And so we did see like a spike in protective order cases coming to our office. Also, we continue to seek a lot of cases with respect to our elder. We are developing a plan because we will start we're planning to launch our mobile clinics. We did all the senior centers. There was outreach done, but the next batch of outreach in the senior centers is now going to be actual mobile clinic. And so we'll be reaching into the communities. We're also reaching out with the consulate offices. They've reached out to us, so we're going to be servicing them as well with the services that we have. And that's basically it, but the stats are provided, and if there's any questions, please let me know.
All right. Any questions for Carol? If not, then we'll
Mr.
go to
Chairman,
new-
can I just ask a question of Steve and Annie?
Sure.
Yeah, Steve and Annie, can you give us a report on how many of your incarcerated defendants where you have applied for a personal recognizance bond, and how many were rejected and how many were approved, and also the EM? How many applications have you filed? How many have rejected? How many violations? Do you know yours, Steve? so that we can get a rundown on why, and then why, and those you didn't apply for, why didn't you apply for?
So we are tracking it for EM. We should be able to track it for those other categories as well.
Yeah, so let's always start with the PR. For the incarcerated, how many of them have you applied for personal recognizance?
Yeah, so we don't have, I'll have to get those stats for you.
You
but I
know, because
we
that's
can-
very important, you know, because in like in my courtroom, I see quite a few cases where no personal recognizance bond has been submitted for the defendant's release, or no EM application has been made to probation. Some of them I have to initiate, you know, especially the EM. So can we find maybe the total incarcerated that you have? And then how many of those incarcerated have you applied for personal recognizance release? And how many have you applied for EM and how many were rejected for both? Can you provide that report for us next time?
Yeah,
Or
sure.
maybe submit it to us maybe in the next few days or a couple of weeks to the CJ and me?
Yeah, we could do that, Your Honor. We do have one table showing, like, in your courtroom, we have 101 detained individuals. And we have 7 out on electronic monitoring, 98 out on personal recognizance, and 1 out on a third party. So that's 431 grand total of cases in your courtroom. So, but I could find out how many motions were denied.
Okay, and also EM. And how many were accepted but later violated and incarcerated again? And that applies for Annie's report as well. If you can give the CJ and I those reports the next week or so, or then board members as well.
Okay, in mine, we do have it on, I'll have that submitted to you. We will email that to you, Your Honor.
Okay, and the CJ as well, and the board members.
Okay,
Okay, appreciate it. Can you do it in the next week or so?
yes, Your Honor.
Since both of you have about 95% of the cases. Okay, that's all my only question, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, presiding judge. All right, let's get to the new business and talk about the bill. Obviously, the bill was introduced. We had a good public hearing. We had hoped that the markup would happen in May, at the beginning of May, and then be on the May agenda. But one of the sponsors, Senator Blas, was off island in Saipan, I think at Pacific Island Development Bank meetings, or the PIL meetings, one of those. And so Senator Teitigui did not want to have the markup without him, and so we weren't able to have the markup session, even though all of the proposed revisions were submitted in accordance with the request, including the red line versions. And speaking with Senator Teitigui and with the speaker, they will be having the markup, coming up probably in June, with the expectation that it will get on the July agenda. And that puts us in a more compressed time frame, obviously, with regards to nominating trustees and also in terms of adopting the new procedures that would apply for the office and the appointment of the private attorney panel. I think that, or the attorneys within the private attorney division, I think it would probably behoove us to start to consider the recommendations of what the procedures would be. I know, Steve, you've mentioned on more than one occasion that, likely the recommendation will be to continue with the existing private attorney panel, and to constitute the private attorney panel division of the PDSC. And what, we would look at and probably go with the same rates and the caps. But I would start to put something together, maybe, that we would be in a position to present to the new trustees as soon as they get on board, so that we would be able to ensure that we can make that transition in a reasonable manner before the cases start getting assigned after October 1st. So I would recommend that we do that at the onset, and then it might not, even though, you know, it may be a little premature, but with the expectation that the bill's going to pass, since we don't seem that there's been significant opposition, and hopefully we've got the votes to pass the bill. I think we do, but you know, obviously there's still the debate, and we respect the legislative process. But I know that I'm already considering, and you know, we can have the Guam Bar Association president, who also gets appointments, as well as getting the governor and the speaker to start thinking about potential candidates who they would like. So they're not waiting a significant period of time once the bill is signed into law to make the appointments, because we would want that board to take office as quickly as we could before the October 1st deadline to make the to adopt the rules that will be recommended and perhaps by the board at the onset. So I would suggest that that's things that we start looking at now that the timetable's been compressed a bit more than we had hoped.
And Chief Justice, so we were discussing in-house if you wanted us to do a resolution for consideration at the June board meeting with all these procedures laid out in anticipation of the bill eventually passing.
But
That way,
ultimately, that decision has to be approved by the new board, not by us.
yeah, so I understand.
So I
all our-
mean, we could look at it, and you know, we could, I think, comment, and I would like to see it, and we could comment on it. And you know, at least now with our existing authority, comment on it, and join in the recommendation to the new board for its adoption, and perhaps that could be the way the resolution would be done. But ultimately, it's the new board that's going to have to adopt it. So for us, it would be more of a recommendation, and I don't mind trying to do that.
Okay.
So if you want to start working on those procedures, and along with, you know, working in close cooperation with the judiciary of Guam, you know, because they're currently responsible for it, and helping with that, I think that might be a good idea. And then we could, recognizing the autonomy of the new board, still say that, you know, we think that the proposal is a good way for a transitional period during the time that the board gets more familiar with their roles and their meeting. But, you know, ultimately, they can change it really at any time, even if they adopt it as a recommendation, as a transitional recommendation.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. That way to reassure the private attorney panel as well.
Yeah. Yeah. We can do that. And so let's plan on having that put together before the next meeting, which, if there's no other business to discuss, we have no public discussion. We can, our next meeting is scheduled for June 24th.
Can I ask a question of, Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question of Steve
Sure.
on the bill? Because he mentioned earlier that there were going to be some amendments to be made. Steve, is that what you said earlier?
I think they're just like really technical amendments, nothing, I don't think anything substantively. changes
We can give you the proposed suggested markups, PJ, based on the public hearing and some other things that the private attorney panel commission recommended and talked about.
Okay, yes, I
Justice
appreciate that.
Carmelito
Mr. Chair.
sent those comments directly to the legislature. Did not send them to the Supreme Court or to the PDSC, but you know, most of those comments we had already addressed, the timetable for the transitional bill, the clarifying some language, and I think we've got all of and there were some, you know, more, like Steve says, technical things, but we can get the markup that was submitted by the judiciary and the PDSC in cooperation. Sarah can get that to you.
Okay, I appreciate it. Now,
right.
Justice Carbolito's testimony, was that his own personal recommendations, or was that the recommendations of the Supreme Court?
Well, he signed it. He said it was the recommendations from the PAP committee, but many of those changes we were already going to address. So, you know.
And how about the money? Is it that with the courts now holding? How's that going to be transferred to the new board?
What is it? I'm sorry, PJ, what was the question?
Yeah, the funds that are now in to pay off the private panel.
Oh, it's gonna be the judiciary is responsible for paying off all of the private attorney panel invoices up and through September 30th. Attorneys generally don't bill to 60 to 90 days after performance of those services. So we will likely continue to be paying bills up through December. And PDSC probably won't have to start paying bills until, you know, the end of November, December timeframe, one would expect. If they're not performing services till October, and they're doing 30 to 60 to 90 days to submit their bills, they probably we won't be seeing bills at the Public Defender Service Corp until November, December. Those invoices after October 1st are going to have to be funded by an appropriation from the legislature and not from the client services fund.
Okay. So the client services fund will just be used for grand jury, experts, et cetera, right?
Yeah,
But not for the private panel.
As you know, the client services fund has been diminishing,
Yes.
and it's not really been used for its primary purpose, which was for, you know, counseling, therapeutic services, the grand jury, the indigent fees associated with jurors, the interpreters,
expert witnesses.
Yeah, but experts are going to be covered under the PAP and under the
Oh, okay.
the new, but interpreters would still continue to be paid out of the client services fund. So, and therapeutic and counseling services. So the funding is going to have to come from a legislative appropriation for the independence, and also what's talked about with the recommendation from the Sixth Amendment Center. So we've indicated what we think an appropriate budget would be when we pass the a PD budget, PJ, of what it would take to fund the indigent defense for the next fiscal year.
Because my concern that if the expert fees and investigative fees are going to be transferred to the new board, will they be setting the limits now? Because right now it's $1,200.
Yes.
Will they be now setting new limits but the court will still order those?
That's entirely up to the new board of trustees to set limits, not only on experts, investigators, even attorneys. Of course, we're going to make a recommendation, as Steve indicated, and the recommendation likely will be, at least for the transitional period, to look at the rules that exist now to guide us. But it's up to the new board when they get sworn in, ultimately what they'll decide.
And will they still make the application to the court for an order
The court is the one that still approves the whether an investigator is hired, whether an attorney's appointed. That under the bill, all of that still is with the court, but the payment.
But why?
Because ultimately we have to make the determination for appointment of counsel, right?
No, for appointment of fees. I mean, expert and.
Yeah, we're not going to be paying it, but we have to approve the appointment. Like, we have to ensure the eligibility still is going to be determined by us, that it meets the eligibility criterion and that the defendant has satisfied that.
And they submit their billing to the board, new board.
PDSC, yes.
Yes. Okay, and thank you very much. That answers some of the key questions.
Thank you, PJ. And when you read the bill, you'll see that's all pretty evident and set forth in there.
Okay, thank you.
All right, unless there's any questions, I think can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn, to whatever date was set,
No,
June
no.
something.
Yeah, June 24th, not subject to the
Okay.
call of the speaker.
Second,
I know that old habits are hard to die, PJ.
Yes, I know. Bad habits are hard to break.
But
Thank
all
you,
right,
Mr. Chairman. Okay.
all right. Thank you. Thank you,
Have a
everyone.
good day, everyone.
Thank you,
Have a
everyone.
good day.
Bye-bye.
Safe travels to everybody.
thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.